There's major strife in late night TV where even Bill Maher has had enough of Jimmy Kimmel and his wife. Today we'll tell you why the comedians are going at it. They can't stand each other anymore, and it might be a reflection of society at large. Hello and welcome back. It is a BEA beautiful day, and it's that way every time you come our way here on the YouTubes. From sea to shining sea, folks, we're glad that you're here, and we're welcoming you to understanding entertainment in a way you simply will not find anywhere else. Click the like button, share this out, drop a comment, and let's talk about Bill Maher versus the Kimmels. Not just Jimmy, but his wife, maybe even more. Even Bill Maher says he's had enough of Jimmy Kimmel. This from Chief Nerd. Bill Maher says he may lose his friendship, oh no, with Jimmy Kimmel over his openness to talk to Trump supporters. Quote, I'm in the talk to them wing of the Democratic Party. I'm not in the cut your people off. I have friends who are not on that side of it and didn't like what I said. It was Jimmy Kimmel. His wife said she lost family members. She wrote them before the election and said, here's 10 reasons why you just can't vote for Trump. I was as kid gloves as I could, and I see they're mad at me. What in the world is this about? Well, folks, let's go to Daily Beast. Bill Maher gloats about attacking Jimmy Kimmel's wife. Now, that's an interesting headline. But here is Jimmy Kimmel's wife. I want to play just a wee bit from her, real quick for you folks, from the Women in Entertainment presented by Lifetime. Here you go. Here's Jimmy Kimmel's wife and what she's like.
I've watched them hold our leaders accountable without fear, night after night. I've watched other late night shows, and journalists and lawyers and activists and politicians and civilians in the street stick their neck out there for all of us.
Now, she's talking about how brave she is. She's the producer of Jimmy Kimmel's show, by the way. Nepotism, Thy Name is Jimmy Kimmel's wife. Jimmy Kimmel's wife apparently believes that she is in some sort of actual political war, and that the late night show where comedy is supposed to be the forte, no way, that's not there anymore, because Jimmy Kimmel's show is all about attacking the orange man, who they apparently, look at the fear in this woman's eyes. Look at the sadness as she recounts what's going on. Listen, I haven't seen this kind of trauma since Cynthia Erivo looked up in the sky and saw a helicopter. This woman believes she is fighting the orange Godzilla, and she's none too happy with Bill Maher. Bill Maher admitted, says the Daily Beast, because they're going to twist this as much as they can, Bill Maher admitted that Jimmy Kimmel and his wife, Molly McNearney, are frustrated with him after he publicly attacked McNearney for revealing that she had lost relationships with family members who voted for Trump. Now, this is a bunch of nonsense because she revealed it in an interview, and we played it here on the channel. It wasn't Bill Maher. He just talked about it. He says, quote, I was as kid-gloved as I could be, he said on Club Random Podcast. He says, and I see they're mad at me. He apologized while still defending his words. He said, quote, I'm sorry. I mean, and by the way, that's not he's not really apologizing. He's mocking them. He says, I'm sorry. I mean, I was being, again, as respectful as I could, but I don't agree with that point of view. And since she went public with it, it wasn't out of school for me to go public with it. AKA, she talked about it and said she was throwing away her family members over the Trump thing. And then he talked about that. The comedian admitted that he has friends who didn't like what I said, but stood firmly in his beliefs that cutting off relatives isn't the path forward, which anybody with any semblance of sanity would definitely say. Now, Bill Maher has made a trip to the White House, and President Trump gave him a tour of some things and treated him nicely. And I got to tell you, and I think, was that Kid Rock that made that happen, if I remember correctly?
It was Kid Rock, yeah.
Bill Maher has become the voice of sensibility on the left. And Jimmy Kimmel and his wife have gone full-blown narcissistic nonsense. They can't stand dissent, and they have descended the late-night genre into just a political attack that makes, frankly, it makes Rachel Maddow look like a kitten. Joe Rossi, when we're looking at this divide, I think we can actually see this in a larger spectrum. Excuse me. We can see this from a larger spectrum that Bill Maher is sort of reflecting, I think, the majority of the country that says, you know what, I can get along with people. I don't have to excommunicate you just because you have different views. Whereas Jimmy Kimmel is that voice that cries out and says, agree with me or we can't be friends anymore. Joe, This
Absolutely.
talk us through what this means for the nation at large.
This is actually a perfect representation of where we are as a nation when it comes to dissent and if there's any chance of unification. One side of, or at least a faction of this country, basically says, agree with me or else we're done. There used to be a state of where, I vote this person, I vote that person, but we can at least have conversation and kind of have the ability to, talk things through or have debate. Scott Fitzgerald said a test of first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. There's a division of our country that just basically this is no longer the case. And anyone who even says, hold on, I'm open to conversation is now seen as, oh, you must be with them. I think there's all kinds of graphs where people used to have, like on the political spectrum, we used to have left, right, center. And we've actually seen a shift where anything, even centrist, is now considered far right. So even Bill Maher being open to conversation and questioning, and even questioning his own party, which is something that I respect. I mean, he's very much still a Democrat. They're very much probably still voting for the same person. But just the fact that he is open to consideration and criticizing his own party because nothing is perfect is too much for some people, like Jimmy Kimmel's wife.
Joe, I'll tell you what I think's happening here, and I think you're spot on. The issue is that Bill Maher is not woke. He's liberal. He's not leftist. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't left the idea that you have to talk to people. Like it's the antiseptic to bad ideas. And so Jimmy Kimmel and his wife, they're woke. And part of the reason that I've been doing this channel, like I have for the past 3 years, is because I see a discernible danger between classic liberalism and wokeism. And the difference is, and I think this gets to the heart of it, what Jimmy Kimmel believes in, his wife appears to believe in, they believe in authoritarian power through narrative. They don't believe in actual truth. They don't believe in facts. They believe in you will accept my truth, and my truth is that the orange man is Godzilla. And so if you don't accept their truth, then their power play is to cut you off completely from, inside their family. Now, I'm not in their family, and I don't want to, I think Jimmy Kimmel has acted in despicable ways. But I think this comes down to whether or not you believe in objective reality and truth, or whether or not you believe in narrative power. And I think that's a real debate that's been happening in the United States and the West for the past 5 years, with disastrous results in places like Europe.
Absolutely agree with all that. Mm-hmm.
Panel, any thoughts on that one? I mean, am I making this too big a deal, or is this a microcosm of what we're witnessing across society at large?
I'm looking down to Jonas because I believe it was him who said, only a Sith thinks in absolutes.
Here's the real thing when it comes down to it. The entertainers started going for applause rather than laughter. The comedians started going for applause rather than laughter, and they want a pat on the back more than they actually want to entertain. When you have someone like this who is so entrenched in their own ideology, and they have a megaphone like this, they start to think to themselves, like maybe they watched Network back in the day and got the wrong idea about what that program, what that movie was actually about. They want to view themselves as the Great Rebellion when it's really kind of the same boring dystopia we've had all along. Forgive me for getting a little dark there. It's just that they don't like the people who are currently in charge of the dystopia. This is something where they want their people in power. It's not that they want more freedom. It's not that they want everyone in the country to enjoy more of living their lives as they should. They want people to agree with them, endorse their line of thinking, and they want everyone else in the world to get in lockstep with how they live their lives. So it's really, one person calls it liberty, another person calls it tyranny, and then the other side uses those same terms in the opposite direction. These people are just high on their own supply, and they need to get over themselves and go make a podcast and see how well that does, instead of using the trappings of a broadcast television show and the imitation of Johnny Carson that they are doing a poor job with.
Yeah, and let me bring her back up again. The producer for Jimmy Kimmel, of course, his wife. Folks, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. I just want you all to see, and imagine this for a minute. If you're wondering why is late night dying, and why is Bill Maher still doing okay, why is Greg Gutfeld okay, but why are these other late night shows just on life support? And well, it might be because Jimmy Kimmel's wife, who is supposed to be the producer of a late night comedy show, looks and acts as if she's a war correspondent behind enemy lines. That can't be a fun time. Here's more from Jimmy Kimmel's wife, the producer of his show.
And speak out to protect this country and all the people in it, even when what we're wearing is dumb. And J-Lo looks better than any of us ever will. I
mean, she's acting like, I mean, she's telling some jokes, but her voice is quivering.
How many times a day do you think this woman bursts into tears?
She looks like she's about to, right? Like she looks miserable.
I feel like she's one of those like women who cries at like literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to disagree with her, Marvin. That's not, you're not friends with the Kimmels. I want you to know that.
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Just letting you know. Let's skip ahead just another, let's see, it was 145, 140 I want to go to. Here we go. One more clip from Jimmy Kimmel's wife, who again is not friends with Bill Maher anymore because she came out and said that they're not friends with their family members who vote for Trump. They've had to cut him off. And Bill Maher basically said, that's not cool. And now there's this giant feud in late night because the Kimmels are furious with Bill. How dare you, Bill Maher? You can't say these sorts of things.
Or the universe, or Oprah, or maybe even Stedman. I don't know. Has anyone ever heard him talk? I've never heard him talk. She's so lucky. So lucky. He never talks. So let's just use our time together here to fight for what we know is right. There are women not lucky enough to be in this room outside these walls who desperately need us to use our hard-won freedom of speech.
Oh my.
There's a woman out there who is separated from her children by masked men right here on our streets and sent to a country she does not call home.
So do you see what happened there, folks? You thought she was going to talk about the vast millions of women who are not allowed to speak and don't have any rights. And then she flipperooskied it on you and talked about someone who is here in the United States illegally and was removed. You gotta love the Kimmels.
And by
you
the
just
way,
gotta love them.
And by the way, free the country that abuses women's rights and doesn't let them speak and doesn't give them a voice.
Millions and millions and millions of women across the planet who are forced to have no rights whatsoever, can't even go to school, and not a word about that. But Kimmel's wife will jump all over a different issue that serves her politically. But no mention of the women who aren't even allowed to go to kindergarten. No, can't be literate. No announcement of that. No condemnation of that from Kimmel's wife. And darn it, Bill Maher, shut up and don't say anything about it.
The problem with Maher is that he's going to ask the tough questions still. He just did so to Anna Kasparian on his show recently, talking about, what happens in the Middle East and why she can't wear the dress that she was wearing on his show in particular.
I watched that this morning.
And I think that's, that particular clip, which I think has been on social media today, is a good one because he's asking the questions that they just absolutely refuse to answer. In fact, he said, you won't answer this question, and she couldn't. You want to call out this country and the practices of freeing this country from a lot of abuses that have been heaped upon it by others and the foreign bad actors, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, you can't make an argument for all these other things. It's the fact that he's willing to have an equivalent conversation and ask the difficult questions to everybody, whether they're in power or not, and especially people who have platforms like Anna Kasparian with the Young Turks and, her other efforts. That's why they don't like Maher, is because like Rogan, he's gonna facilitate asking tough questions. Ones that, calls into question the two-faced nature that they have on display. It's the same problem with Kimmel. Kimmel and his wife, they don't have the ability to ask questions even of themselves about whether or not they're dealing with any of these issues in good faith. Because the presentation of information on Kimmel's show, going back to even the Charlie Kirk controversy, is not genuine. They don't present a balanced approach to anything. And I think that's the other thing that Maher is involved in, is trying to prevent a more balanced thing and a less slanted thing, which is why he's more successful, just like you pointed out, Fox News' Gutfeld and many of the other people that are involved on the right side. Are you willing to have this conversation that's going to be difficult? You're going to have to answer some tough questions. You're going to have to, emerge from your one side political shell and point the finger at oftentimes your friends or people that are aligned with you. I think that's why people are down, or that's why people like, Kimmel and his wife are down on people like Maher. It's why, they can no longer be friends, because you're no longer, part of the ideological captured, right?
How many managers in a single month do you think she asks to speak to?
Oh my gosh. Joe, here's the deal. If Kimmel and his wife are going to act like war correspondents, battling Orange Godzilla on late night every night, could they not at least pick somebody who didn't make their way into stardom by staring at women in bikinis, jumping on trampolines, and dressing in blackface and pretending to be Karl Malone? Like, how is it that Kimmel was selected to be the brave one of our generation
tricking women into signing a petition to take away their right to vote?
Right. How did this guy get to be the avatar of wokeism?
I think that a lot of these people are also cut off from reality. So I think that's what we're dealing with, first of all, with both of them. They're, not really checked in. It's like the same kind of person who doesn't know how much a gallon of milk costs. So it's really kind of annoying that these people are representing all of us on TV. But in terms of Jimmy Kimmel, how was he selected? I bet you anything that the real person who wears the pants in this relationship is his wife. And she decided this is going to be, what you're going to be like. And he probably wasn't like this. He was probably a bro when he was like, before he was married, slamming beers and looking at big titties. Like, let's be real. Like, that's what men are generally like. But men like this who don't have a backbone allow women like this to change who they are. And if they want to be happy life, happy wife, he's just going along with what, this Karen wants. I mean, you could tell from the amount of frown lines and the angle of her eyebrows when she talks that she's just a miserable woman who probably just beats him over the brow. Like, there's no way he has any kind of decision making in that household. None.
So you're calling him Gavin Newsom and or J.J. Abrams is what you're doing here. So and you're right.
He probably has to sit down to pee, is what I'm saying.
Oh, indeed. And he crosses his legs when he sits. So
he's a slightly less funny Bill Burr.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow. No. Ron, Bill Maher seems to be the one who's going to survive all of this. Bill Maher will be on for a decade or more. Meanwhile, you got Jimmy Kimmel and his wife probably done in about a year. Yeah. Ron, your thoughts on the late night strife and where this is going?
Well, it's interesting. This whole conversation, I've been thinking in some very realistic ways, Bill Maher is comparable to a Charlie Kirk, but from the left point of view, from the liberal point of view, because he sits down with everybody, does it a very different, format, obviously, than what Kirk did, but and ironically, he is getting the same. Negative feedback from his own people from the left for doing what he's doing, which is having open conversations with people that he both agrees with and disagrees with, going to visit President Trump in the White House. And by the way, Trump sometimes gets criticism for doing this himself, because as a president, you are supposed to be willing to sit down with many people that you would disagree with. And then sometimes people from the right disagree with Trump for doing that. You have to be, when you are a public figure, it's so important that you're open. You're open to conversation. You're open to debate. You're open to thought. You're open to free speech. And it's kind of ridiculous to me that these same people, the Kimmels of the world, and his wife, are calling the current administration a particular name that rhymes with bashist.
Wait a minute, Ron, did you just invent a word that you could rhyme? You're like, I don't have a rhyming word, so I'll just make one up.
I'm trying to be fair. Anyway, so
they rhyme with a word called bicocyst.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
but this is what they're
psycho?
doing, right?
No.
Yeah. So, but yet they're the ones acting that way. They're the ones that want to cut everybody off that doesn't think like them. They had power for 4 years, getting away with it and putting that ideology into our entertainment, literally putting that same ideology even into our theme parks, which is crazy to me that they had power to cut off things like Splash Mountain being a great example, where everybody loves Splash Mountain. Nobody complained about Splash Mountain. And they decided that they had to change it because they were the arbiters of truth and righteousness for everybody else in the world. And no matter what you thought, you were cut off from that. And that's what Kimmel's wife wants to do. She wants to cut off even her relatives who don't think like her. And it's not the right way of thinking. I have people in my own family that are like this when it comes to Orange Man Bad. We have a relative. I have a family member. Not going to say who it is, but we don't know if this person is even alive right now because they have cut the rest of the family off so much, and we don't know. We'd love to know, and we love this person, and we love to have an open relationship with the person, but they don't do it, and it's like, what is this way of thinking? It's crazy. Go ahead, Mark.
I heard somebody on Instagram today was talking about this phenomenon where apparently when her friends found out that she was conservative, they all cut her off, and she was like, and I was surprised. She's like, because all this time I knew that they were liberals, and I had no problem with the fact that we had a difference. I knew this entire time we had a difference of opinion, and I never cut anyone off. It's I don't understand this. Like, you must agree with me 100%.
It's quasi-religious. That's what it is. It's that it's embedded so deeply into their personality that it's like a fundamental core of who they are. And if you disagree with the politics, you're disagreeing with their soul. That's the way they view this because they've taken it so seriously.
Right. It's ultimate morality. It's to the point of being a religion. And if you are an unbeliever, then you're against their religion.
That's it. All right, folks. Let's keep moving. We got more stuff for you right now. And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a pro store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The pro store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.